The next thing on our list today under application servers are collaboration servers. And you notice, by the way, all these application servers, these are external programs that we add to server. So when you think of applications in server, these are external programs that we add to server. And the collaboration server that we use in server is Sharepoint. So Sharepoint, let's take a look at Sharepoint, or some things about Sharepoint. Sharepoint is a web-based or web browser-based application. It provides for our employees things like lists and libraries and project management, a ticketing system, an intranet, document control. Throughout all of these things, we can have full text indexing so that we can have a search, and within that search we can find everything in those lists and libraries and projects and tickets and so on. It can be set up so that we can have permissions set throughout all those things, so that I can say, well, only the team that's working on safety, for example, can get to these particular lists or these particular projects. I can also integrate it entirely with my Office suite so that only certain Word documents can be accessed by that same safety team and so forth. So you can see it is very, very robust. You can, under this document control system, it can be done such that you can check out a document, and only while that document is checked out can it be updated and upgraded, so that we have full control, and by the way, logged, so that every change to that document can be logged. Who made that change? What change did they make? What time did they make that change? And so forth. Now let's talk a little bit about how that thing is installed in server and what's required for it to be installed in the server. And I think I do have a Sharepoint site. Oh, by the way, this is what that Sharepoint page looks like. Once I have it installed on my system, look at this. It just looks like an intranet site. And indeed, that's exactly what it is. It's an intranet site where here's all my documents, my pages, and so on. And so to my users, to my employees, it just looks like a company website. And yet I can check things out and check things back in and find things and so forth. So that's what Sharepoint kind of looks like to my employees. Let me see if I have here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. I can download Sharepoint. This is the Microsoft site. I can download Sharepoint here. And then once I download it, it's kind of an interesting installation. It downloads as a, let's see, I downloaded it here, officeserver.img, which is an IMG file is it's kind of like an ISO file. It's an image of a disk. And then once you get that image, you don't click the startup file, an exe file. You actually click the splash.hta file to launch the installer. Now, I'm not going to go through an entire install, but I am going to go ahead and start up my one of my servers here, and I'm going to connect my Office Server IMG as a disk so that we can at least sort of see the beginnings of this process. So let's go ahead to that disk, and I'm going to go down here. Again, I need to turn on my file name extensions so we can see these better. And I'm not going to click my setup.exe. I'm going to click splash.hta, and we'll wait for this thing to start up. So I had it paused when the splash screen came up, but here's my Sharepoint 2016. Here's a review hardware and software requirements. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, this is going to attempt to go out onto the internet. Active, okay, are you sure you want to run CD? Yes. And use recommended. I have not gone out onto the internet on this thing yet. And by the way, in server, I cannot go onto the internet by default. I have to make a change in the server manager before I go out on the internet. It's a fail-safe before you can just go out onto the internet. So I'm going to go ahead and make that change here so that we can do that. I'm going to go to the local server here, i.e. Enhanced Security Configuration. I'm going to turn that off. And that should solve that problem. There we go. Now we should be able to go out on the internet and go to this README thing. Now you'll see here that there's a lot of stuff required. It's going to require a lot of hardware, 80 gigabytes, and see if I can make this thing bigger. 4 cores, 24 gigabytes for the SQL Server. Yeah, it's going to need SQL Server installed. It's going to need IIS installed, Web Server IIS role installed. It's going to install a whole bunch of stuff down here. It's going to install some .NET, some SQL Server stuff. Look at all this stuff it's going to install. So there's a lot of infrastructure that goes behind the installation of this thing before it's ever going to install it. So just so you know, it's going to try to install a lot of things. And so here's a bunch of prerequisites that it has to install first. And if I click that, it would take some time to install it. And once it installs all the prerequisites, then I would have to go here and install the SharePoint server. So it's kind of an unusual installation. And by the way, I don't have all of that capability in my virtual machine here. So it would fail. It would actually install the prerequisites, but then when I go to install the SharePoint server, it would fail. But it is kind of an unusual installation process. So I'm going to cut this off here, and at least we know now a little bit about what SharePoint looks like and what the end product would look like when I was done.